Star Trek Day beamed down this week, and with it a handful of exciting new announcements for the Star Trek universe, along with panels of Trek legends and vibrant discussions. Let's dive into the brand new information in the Star Trek universe. Voila! Hello everyone, my name is Captain Jack and welcome to Trek Central. Due to the global pandemic this year, many Star Trek conventions and media events have had to be postponed. This of course is heavily disappointing for Star Trek fans worldwide, as it's missing out on a yearly event to connect with other Trekkies, but it also means press events where new Trek content is usually announced are also absent. Luckily for us, we have Star Trek Day. Not only did we get 3 hours of free virtual panels and programming, including special appearances of iconic cast members, but also a marathon of some great Trek episodes. In this video we'll go over everything from the event. In the meantime, if you're new around here, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with everything Star Trek related. We'll be covering all the news and celebrations from Star Trek today and going forward with Discovery Season 3 here on our YouTube channel as well as via our social media pages. Okay, let's jump into this. Jumping right into the news, Star Trek Discovery Season 3 has revealed a brand new trailer for the upcoming season, which will air on October 15th next month, 1 week after Lower Decks finishes. A little detail, you'll be able to watch Discovery Season 3 on CBS All Access if you're in the United States, via CTV Sci-Fi Canada, obviously if you're in Canada, and thankfully via Netflix if you're an international viewer and in a country like the United Kingdom for example. Discovery Season 3 has also received a brand new logo for the upcoming season, in its new modern twist on the logo design for the series, as you can see on screen now. Personally, I'm not 100% sure if I'm a big fan of this logo. It comes off as a bit of a generic sci-fi design compared to other series logos, but we'll see how it goes in the long run. Even after the main trailer, it's starting to rub off on me. Alex Kurtzman and Michelle Paradise, the two executive producers of Discovery, thought the logo needed a change due to how tied to the original design was to the Klingon design in the first story. If you'd like to see a detailed breakdown of the brand new trailer, we did a whole video on it. The link is in the video description and I highly recommend you give it a watch as this new season of Discovery is looking fantastic. The rest of the Discovery panel was very interesting, with obviously Alex Kurtzman, Michelle Paradise, joined by new actor David Ajala. The biggest news that come out of Discovery's panel is that for international fans, Discovery will still air on Netflix on October 16th, a day after it airs on CBS All Access. This is of course great news to hear that it's still on Netflix for us international fans. Originally, there was some confusion over whether it would still be the case, as many online fans had the right to doubt that, especially with Lower Decks missing an absent international distribution license. But don't worry, it's all good now, and you shouldn't feel ashamed or persecuted for thinking it might not air there. There's nothing wrong with that. We do learn a couple of interesting tidbits about the new season of Discovery from panel, with a story about trying to bring back the Federation and deliver hope to the future. Though it isn't the Federation completely collapsed, as they still exist in some capacity. We know this event happened at least a generation ago, as is stated with David Ajala's character, Cleveland Book Booker. He was born in the post-Burn galaxy, the Burn being the event which caused, everything to change, I guess. Species like the Trill will still be true to what we've seen in previous shows, but it has been almost 700 years since we last saw them. Species and their culture would have changed in interesting ways since then. The Trill seem to have a big focus, as it's said in Trill mythology is expanded upon, and we know from previous news that we're getting a new Trill character played by Ian Alexander called Grey. But the biggest news to come out of this panel is that Booker has a huge cat called Grudge. Yes, you heard me correctly there. It seems like this cat is a big part of the season and seems to be a better actor than the cat who played Spot in The Next Generation, who apparently was very difficult during filming. With Picard giving us a great dog in number 1, Discovery is giving us what looks to be a giant cat called Grudge. You can actually follow Grudge the cat on Twitter, it's at Grudge_cat. He followed us back on Twitter earlier and oh my, honestly the interactions for a cat is hilarious. Right, I'll move on. Going into the next panel of Deep Space Nine, which we're all looking forward to, we have Armin Shimmerman, Alexander Siddiq, Nana Visitor, Ira Stephen Bear, Terry Fowler, and of course Stuart Lofton. The panel was very sweet, not only talking about the series itself and what it means to them that the fans are seeing it for the first time because of streaming services like Netflix, but the whole cast gave some beautiful words about the unfortunate passing of both Rene Auberjonois and also Aaron Eisenberg, who played Odo and Nog respectively. It was a very nice panel and we definitely recommend you check it out. All the panels are available on the Star Trek CBS YouTube account, links down below in the video description should you need them. Of course, the panel many of us were looking forward to was the Star Trek Strange New Worlds panel. Unfortunately, we did not get anything tangible from this panel, which makes sense as they haven't been able to film anything due to lockdown, but even a title card or some concept art would have been greatly appreciated, but I guess they could save it to the next event. Now joining the panel were Anson Mount, Rebecca Romaine, Ethan Peck, Akiva Goldsman, Henry Alonso Myers, Akila Cooper, and Davey Perez. The most substantial information we got from this panel was a reiteration of the episodic storytelling that Strange New Worlds will do to set it apart from Discovery and of course Picard. It's going back to original series feel, however still having character arcs and impacts that occur over multiple episodes, which personally I think is a good balance. The panel is really great to watch. We get to hear how nonchalant Alex Kurtzman told the cast the show was happening, to really emotional words said by the writers Davey Perez and Akila Cooper about writing the Strange New Worlds is like for them. Again, we highly recommend you watch this panel, as seeing Anson Mount is always a blessing. I love that man. Also, the story about Alex Kurtzman eating an apple and nonchalantly ringing them up telling them they've got a show is kind of funny, to be honest. Moving on, the original series panel only had George Takei and Rod Roddenberry on it, talking about their experiences on the show, and Rod talking about his father, Gene Roddenberry, the great bird of the galaxy. The panel was very interesting as George Takei not only talked about his involvement in Star Trek the original series, but also as a closeted gay man trying to get good representation in the show, but also Takei's own experiences growing up in America. He does tell this story of a great little conversation he had between Gene Roddenberry and George Takei at the time on including a gay character in Star Trek. I really recommend you check out that panel as it really tells some story of why they couldn't do that at the time. And also, hearing George Takei speak is just fantastic. If you'd like to hear more about Takei's experiences, not only in this panel, but you can also check out his book that he put out last year, which is called They Called Us Enemy. We highly recommend it. It was a great read. I've read at least part of it myself, and it was really good. Now this year is the 25th anniversary of Star Trek Voyager. It's very much a shame that a few of the conventions dedicated to Star Trek Voyager occurred this year, but luckily we got a panel during Star Trek Day for Voyager, with Kate Mulgrew, Robert Duncan McNeil, Ethan Phillips, Robert Picardo, Tim Russ, and of course Garrett Wang, almost all of the Voyager crew. It's so weird seeing these guys, as a number of virtual events they've done this summer, I recognise most of their backgrounds by now. Honestly, I've seen some people's kitchens a bit too much. Unfortunately, we didn't get any information on the Star Trek Voyager documentary that is supposedly being released soon to celebrate the milestone of Voyager, but it's also great hearing these guys talk and the stories they have about filming Voyager and still staying great friends, 25 years later. After 8 years of no Bakula, we finally have Bakula time, aka Scott Bakula attending a new Star Trek convention. Whether virtual or not, it still exists. We almost have the entire Enterprise crew, with Scott Bakula, John Billingsley, Dominic Keating, Anthony Montgomery, Linda Park, and of course Connor Chenier. The cast talked about Enterprise, with it being the earliest show and not being tied to anything else, giving them the freedom which initially got Scott Bakula interested in the role, and how around the middle of Season 2 they started hitting it out of the park, which we definitely agree. Season 3 and 4 are a bunch of great episodes, and it's a shame they got cancelled so early, especially when you hear about what they had in store for Season 5 onwards. The Lower Decks panel was fantastic, as we're currently watching the show anyway, so catching up with the cast and crew from that is fantastic. Jack Quaid, Noah Wells, Tawny Newsome, and Eugene Cordero were joined by Lower Decks series creator Mike McCann. They discussed what it's like on the show, recording for it, etc., especially in lockdown and quarantine, and how Jack Quaid originally envisioned Brad Boimler as a secondary and non-important character. We also got to learn that Tawny Newsome's official Star Trek podcast, The Pod Directive, is airing on September 14th via all good podcast websites. So keep an eye out for that, and of course, check in for it and give it a listen if you're into that sort of thing. Mike McCann did also tease us some great information along with a new trailer for Lower Decks, which is absolutely amazing. I'll give you a quick rundown. It starts with a great flyby of the Cerritos, with a Voyager theme playing in the background. She truly is a handsome lady of the ship, as Boimler says. It seems like "It's warp time" didn't stick as Captain Freeman's catchphrase, as she now says, "Warp me." I wonder how many variations it's going to be warp for the writers for Lower Decks can come up with. Ensign Tendi seems to have done some genetic engineering on a dog, turning it into basically an alien from The Thing, as it starts breaking its bones, changing forms, and climbing on the ceiling. What is weird is at the very end of his trailer, the dog turns into a cube, so maybe it's just some holographic dog, or Tendi changed it so much it became a Q-dog. Who knows? There seems to be this episode where we see a mid-transporter phase Boimler and an Endosian, so I'm definitely looking forward to that episode. Crazy genetically engineered dogs and Endosians should make this a great episode and the end of the season at all. We see some very Kelvin-style transport beams as the ship is boarded, alongside some other boarding pods being similar to the Kral in Star Trek Beyond. This will probably be different episodes, but it still does involve the Cerritos being boarded by enemies. It's interesting to note that we only see the transporter beam and not who the boarding species actually are, so maybe it's a legacy species and they've been keeping it secret. We still yet to see the Romulans turn up in the show. Of course, Commander Ransom is being the Kirk of the group, setting his fist to stun and his kicks to kill. Oh my. We see what seems to be Mariner on board a Klingon ship laughing mechanically. I would love if this was somehow a mirror universe Mariner showing up to the Prime universe. I think I'd make for a great little story, if not in season 1, definitely in season 2. Rutherford's implant seems to be useful in more ways than one as it has a sexy mode. I wonder if it's something Rutherford coded himself or someone else did. But it's kind of weird with a Vulcan implant, but maybe it's to help during the pon farr. Obviously, Boimler is trapped within mid-phase during this trailer. He is chased on a ship by a bunch of Starfleet misfits who have prosthetic limbs and robotic heads. One of them even looks like the Silence from Doctor Who. Most of the officers have 2380 uniforms, but one of them, who has half his face age, moreover, is wearing a DS9 star uniform. Of course, we haven't seen Gorn since Enterprise, but it's great to see some TOS style Gorns, even if they're eating Rutherford. It's still great to see them. During Mariner, Rutherford and Tendy's trial by an alien civilization, in which they're giving a Horn of Truth we saw in the previous trailer, they are dropped into a vat of eels. There are also some more EVA suits, and I'm just loving how the look of these already seen in this season, as well as Tendy beating up classified Romulans in Black Ops gear. Oh, and for our final special announcement, Q is returning to Star Trek, voiced by John Delancey himself on the Cerritos Bridge. This will probably be a small cameo of Q appearing, expecting it to be the Enterprise bridge and then leaving again. I think this will be so much like Q, a humorous moment and really show that no one wants to be on a ship like the Cerritos. And our final panel was of course Will Wheaton sitting down with Sir Patrick Stewart and Jonathan Frakes about Picard, but also a look back about the Star Trek Next Generation and the friendship that all three of them share. We get some very heartfelt moments between the three of them, and it was simply a pleasure to watch them, as it always is with Jonathan Frakes and Sir Patrick whenever they're together. We don't get much news about Star Trek Picard Season 2, however we do find out that the first 4 episodes have been written, and Sir Patrick Stewart says they're unlike anything he has ever read for Star Trek, and he's really excited to get back and start filming whenever it's safe. And there we go, that was Star Trek Day, a whole event that was extremely well put together. The hosts, Mica, Burton and Will Wheaton did an excellent job, as well as all of those behind the scenes to get this event up and running. If you missed any of this event, all the panels are available to be watched over on the Star Trek CBS YouTube account. And not only the panels, but snippets of good clips from the panels as well. That's it for this video. If you want to stay up to date on my latest Star Trek news and information, then hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from us here at Trek Central. We'll also be discussing the event in more detail and what we thought of it on our weekly livestream series, this Sunday at 9 PM BST. Tune in to hear us talk Trek and answer your questions. That's it for myself, I've been Captain Jack, and I'll see you next time. Live long and prosper, my friends.